Hello, everyone. It is a depressing, angry March 11th here, day 3 of free agency. What a roller coaster we have been on these last 24 hours. I'm not sure Cedar Point could make a roller coaster as crazy as this one. So, to catch everyone up to date, if you don't know, although I don't know how you wouldn't know, Trey Hendrickson has made his decision. And his decision has been to become one of the most hated men in Cincinnati. Basically, I'm not saying I'm joining in on that. I'm not happy about it. But based on Twitter, I don't think he's going to be having any parties in Cincinnati soon. And I get it's a business decision. But that's a rough one, And the Ravens, they backed out of the Baltimore the Maxx Crosby trade, and there were some people wondering hey, is Trey Hendrickson gonna go to the Ravens? And that's exactly what happened. So Trey Hendrickson has signed a 4-year, $112 million deal worth up to $120 million. So he's getting, with incentives, the $30 million a year number he wanted. I believe it's $60 million guaranteed, which is about the same money that I think the Bengals offered him at one point year to year. There's just more guarantees. And now he's a Baltimore Raven. So that just sucks. Chris said, I was right yesterday. I said Hendrickson to the Ravens also means Joe Burrow dies. 5 times, 2 against Garrett, 2 against Watt, and 1 against Hendrickson. So does that mean that Hendrickson's only going to play well for one game that the Ravens play? Vikings haven't done anything else either. You guys just restructured Aaron Jones. Right before I came on, I saw he's getting $5.6 million, including $5 million guaranteed. So Aaron Jones will be staying with the Vikings. Burrow's going to die next year. Well, Mr. Porky, it's not looking good. The only thing, and I hate having this mentality. This isn't a mentality I try to have, but him coming off injury, you hope there's kind of a slow start. You hope that he doesn't maybe play as well. I like Trey Hendrickson as a player, as a person, but for these next 4 years, if he doesn't play well, I'd be okay with that. If he's on the Baltimore Ravens, I'd be okay with him not playing well. We'll see what happens. He was kind of slow last year. There were fans that accused him of, stepping out on the team. There's a joke going around Twitter right now saying that Trey Hendrickson picked the Baltimore Ravens because it felt like the best culture to back out of a deal, and that they could do that together. So there's currently mixed reviews as to what Maxx Crosby is going to do as well. There's some insiders saying that the Raiders are going to trade him again. There's other insiders saying that he's going to stay in 2026 with the Raiders. We do know that he failed his physical. Now, we didn't know that last night when we live streamed. We do know that he failed his physical, and that's up to the Ravens to fail him. So I think the Ravens could have technically failed him for anything. I don't know that they actually have to give him a reason. The rumor I saw was that it was because he could not touch his toes, which I'm not a doctor or anything, but just based on common sense and where he is in his recovery, I would not expect a guy coming off of meniscus surgery at this point in his rehab to be able to touch his toes. I mean, try to touch your toes. If you can't touch your toes, try to touch your toes, and you feel all those leg muscles and tendons pull and shift and stretch. Why would you think that someone with a meniscus tear, 2 months post rehab, 3 months maybe at the most? I don't know when he had his surgery. But why would you expect that him to have? I bet he couldn't jump very high or sprint either. But Maxx Crosby failed his physical. Uh, yeah, he is not going to be a Baltimore Raven. Trey Hendrickson will instead. And it seems like there's a lot of GMs that are mad about this. That they're basically seeing through the BS. I'm interested to see what kind of repercussions this has in terms of the Ravens getting deals done with other teams in the future. But right now, it seems like GMs are not happy with the Baltimore Ravens. I can't even touch my toes. It's because I'm 6'7". I can't touch my toes because I'm fat. So a little bit different. I'm only 6'2". I used to be able to touch my toes, and I was fat then, but now I'm just like fat and got older. So maybe we'll get back to there at some point. Got to work on it. Yeah, dumb to think he could pass a physical so soon after surgery. Feels like they thought Trey was a better option because they could keep their picks. Exactly. Trey probably is the better option when you think about it like that. Similar sack production in the past. Both are coming off an injury. Both are going to cost around $30 million a year. And you get to keep the 2 first rounders. That's really what it came down to. The Ravens are just kind of trying to sell us on something that no one's buying, it sounds like. We do have a signing per Mike Garafolo. Play the clip. Tight end Chiga Okonkwo is signing a 3-year deal with the Commanders. So he will no longer be with the Tennessee Titans. Chiga Okonkwo will head on over to Washington to play opposite Zach Ertz, probably in front of my boy Ben Sinnott. Man, I loved Ben Sinnott so much. And then he got stuck behind Zach Ertz. Now he might be stuck behind Chiga Okonkwo. Maybe a team should trade for him or sign him when he becomes a free agent, because Ben Sinnott I loved him as a deep tight end prospect coming out of that draft. But so far, the big news since we started has been Chiga Okonkwo to the Commanders. That's going to be a 3-year deal. So the Titans have Gunnar Helm now. Looks like they're going to stick with him at tight end as their starting tight end. Let Chiga Okonkwo move on. He's someone who, he didn't really he was one of the better parts in Tennessee, but he didn't quite shine. According to Ari Miroff, he had 2,017 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns over 4 years in Tennessee. So not a bad stat line for a tight end in the Tennessee Titans system. We'll see what he can do in the Washington Commanders system with Jaden Daniels throwing him the ball now. But that's a big signing. We can also talk about Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones, we know what his contract looks like now. He has agreed to a 2-year deal. We'd heard a few different numbers thrown out. I believe we talked yesterday. We were saying 3-4 year. It's a 2-year deal that's $8 million and can be worth up to 100. So right now he's getting paid $44 million. With he can get up to $50 million a year. And I think this is a good contract. I've seen some Colts fans are a little worried about it. He's coming off an Achilles. He is expected to be available to start week 1. But he is I think the short term of the contract, the Colts had to give up some guarantees. They had to give up some possibilities. And I think for the potential that you get with this contract to, finally have some stability at quarterback, keep your big signing in Alec Pierce happy, finally be able to build around someone, but also have the 2-year out. If it doesn't work out next year or the year after, you've still got that out. So you're not super dedicated to it, but you've also got the potential to, keep. I understand the year-to-year is probably an overpay, but I think that's probably a check for the short-term contract, which I think the Colts kind of needed in this situation. Because if you sign Daniel Jones to a 4-year deal, are you stuck then with that contract? Are you stuck paying him? Like if this had been a 4-year, $160 million deal or a $200 million deal, that's a way bigger contract, way bigger thing to have on the books for a long time. I think there's a little bit of an overpay here, but it's due to the short term part of the contract and the ability to keep people happy in the building, keep Alec Pierce happy, keep the rest of your offense happy. And they played really well with Daniel Jones at quarterback last year. So I know you wanted him to come back to the Vikings. That's not happening. He is an Indianapolis Colt. Indiana Jones lives on. Adam Schefter just tweeted that safety Jalen Hawkins is signing a 2-year, $10 million deal with the Ravens. So the Ravens continue to make moves. The Bengals continue to do nothing. They got really active on day one, and it looked like they were going to be doing a ton. And now they are not touching free agency, it seems. Was hoping they'd maybe do some signings last night. Maybe they were calling Maxx Crosby. Nothing. We've heard nothing out of Cincinnati since the Boye Mafe signing. We still need a linebacker, still need a defensive tackle. I'd like to see some big moves come from Cincinnati this afternoon. It's a stormy, gloomy day. Let's hope they can bring our hopes up because right now they are down. They are down, down, down. Let's see. I got to tell you, I was very sad when Leo Chanel signed with the Commanders yesterday. I thought he was going to be a Bengal. It felt Bengal-esque to me. And then K'Lavon Chaisson also signed with a team today. Did he also sign with the Commanders? Am I making stuff up now just to make myself more depressed? Did the Commanders get both of them? Yes, the Commanders did get both of them. Oh my gosh. How did we let that happen? Duke, what are we doing? I give you credit for Boye Mafe and Brian Cook. Those are both two huge signings, but you can't let the Commanders get two of your targets or two guys who you should have been targeting at least. Didn't Logan Hall go to the Commanders too? Like, what the heck are the... This happened during the draft too. The Commanders drafted a bunch of guys that I wanted. And now apparently they're doing it in free agency as well. I'm looking here. Did Logan Hall... I know Chaisson and Chanel went to the Commanders. In my head, Logan Hall is a Commander as well. No, he went to the Texans. Okay. We're okay. That was going to be baffling to me how that happened. But still, losing two great linebacker options to the Commanders is not great. You should become a Commanders fan instead of a Bengals fan. Maybe then you can be happier. I don't know. Like, they sign people I want, but they always seem to, like, ruin them somehow. So, I don't know. I don't know that there would be much change in my life if I did that. The Commanders are expected to give Chig Okonkwo a 3-year deal worth up to $30 million. So he gets about $10 million a year. Not bad. I want to be happy. I thought, when we were active in day one, I thought, hey, it's different. We're going to be different this year. I was wrong. And their whole thing was like, we're going to go for quantity over quality, which they've done before. We're going to go for a bunch of like tier 2 signings instead of maybe instead of like 1 or 2 tier 1 signings. We're going to go for, 8 tier 2 to 3 signings or something like that. And they got like 2 upper tier 2 guys, I would say. Brian Cook and Boye Mafe. But we still have very clear holes. They were in on the Devin. They were in supposedly on Devin Lloyd. They were in supposedly on other linebackers. So that indicates to me that they don't think Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight are for sure starters next season. It also indicates to me that they don't necessarily want to start a rookie next season again. And so I don't understand why they're not in on this. Maybe like we're getting Bobby Wagner or something. I don't know. But right now, this is extremely frustrating to witness all these guys fall off the board. Speaking of which, one of our top 5 just fell off the board. Well, you're going to be shocked. It was the Commanders. The Commanders are signing safety Nick Cross. This is a very good signing. Nick Cross is someone who I would have been interested in the Bengals getting. I do think Brian Cook is a better signing for what we need, but I also really like Nick Cross, kind of an unsung hero in Indianapolis. He made his presence known a lot. I think he can be a leader on this Commanders defense. We're taking him off the board. We're adding edge Joey Bosa as our top in our top 5. So Nick Cross is a Washington Commander, along with seemingly every other defensive free agent in the NFL. But Nick Cross, he's a very sure tackler, very good safety out of Indianapolis. His coverage isn't, necessarily the greatest, but I think there is potential for him to be there. He had a down year last season, but he is going to, be good for the Washington Commanders, I think. Not a huge, not a huge name. Not going to, break the bank. I would expect this to be somewhat short, relatively cheap contract, but Nick Cross is a Washington Commander. So let's see. That contract should be coming through relatively soon, I'm sure. Yep, 2-year worth up to $14 million. So $7 million a year for Nick Cross. I think that is a fair deal for him. The Commanders will be able to work with him. Dan Quinn will be able to work with him. Maybe he can get some picks. Maybe he'll be a little bit better in Dan Quinn's system as well. But I love these. Have you ever looked on Twitter pages and looked at the clear bot accounts that are they're just pulling information? Like this one says that Nick Cross is a smart trade from the Indianapolis Colts to the Washington Commanders, or hope he can lock down like a lockdown defender. Yeah, Twitter's weird now. So Nick Cross is a Washington Commander. Do we have any reactions to that signing? 2 safeties just came off the board recently. Nick Cross and Jalen Hawkins both get around $5 to $7 million a year. Both are 2-year deals as well. The other one being Jalen Hawkins. Ben Baby, the Bengals ESPN beat reporter, said, I haven't chimed in on here about the Bengals linebacker situation, but the linebackers that signed yesterday didn't make sense for a team that currently has 2 starting linebackers. Well, they don't. That's my response to that. Demetrius Knight, maybe, but I cannot start Barrett Carter next year again. He took some rough angles. His tackling was not up to par. He can be athletic. He can be quick. He can, pursue the ball carrier all day. But if he's going to continue to take weird angles like that and not tackle well, he cannot be a starting linebacker. These tight ends will kill us in the league more than they already have. So I need to see a linebacker who can start, or at the very least challenge these guys for the starting position. That's where we're at right now. We should have been, this is going to be our clear starter, and Barrett Carter is going to be decent depth with starting experience. But now we're to the point where we're looking for, a challenge. And this isn't, necessarily even anything against Barrett Carter. I think he got thrown into an unfair situation with the Cincinnati Bengals. He was a 4th-round rookie who got thrown into a starting position somewhat randomly, somewhat out of nowhere. I want to see like some iron sharpens iron action. If they were to bring in Devin Lloyd and Barrett Carter were to sincerely beat out Devin Lloyd, that's fantastic. Because that means Barrett Carter has improved immensely over the offseason. And then you've got Devin Lloyd as amazing depth. And you can rotate. And you can have 3 rotating linebackers on a great, move, on a great defense. That would be awesome. But that's not what we have right now. Right now we're trying to, wheel and deal and get, these cheap options. Meanwhile, the Commanders are signing everyone. Ari Mirov just posted Odafe Owe to the Commanders, K'Lavon Chase onto the Commanders, Chig Okonkwo, Leo Chanel, Nick Cross, Tim Settle, Amik Robertson. Everyone who we should have gotten is either a Commander or a Panther. Or a Baltimore Raven. Oh. I'm going to crash out on stream. It's going to happen one of these days. I'm trying not to. We'll see if we can hit 800 subs today. That would make, I think we're 3 away. I checked before we came on. I appreciate everyone who did subscribe yesterday during the stream and after the stream. That was huge for us. Got three away. So let's see what we can get today. That'd be really cool to hit 800 on stream. I don't think it's going to happen, but if the Bengals do somehow trade for Maxx Crosby, I will give away a Maxx Crosby jersey. But I don't think it's going to happen. So I don't think I'm going to be giving away a Maxx Crosby jersey anytime soon. But if they do, I will give away a Maxx Crosby jersey. Doesn't even have to be today. If they at some point in the year 2026 trade for Maxx Crosby, and if I forget, someone remind me, Chris, that's probably going to be your job. Remind me that I promised that giveaway. But I think we're going to be okay. And because I'll probably be buying a Maxx Crosby jersey for myself as well if he becomes a Cincinnati Bengal. But right now, there's a lot of pressure on Shamar Stewart and Myles Murphy to step up and, be the pass rusher we expect him to be. Yeah, giveaway. If the Cincinnati Bengals in the year 2026 trade for Maxx Crosby, or he somehow ends up as a Cincinnati Bengal, I'll give away a Maxx Crosby jersey. For you, I'll give away a Vikings jersey. Since you've been so supportive of the show. But it is still contingent on Maxx Crosby being a Cincinnati Bengal. In the year of our Lord, 2026. That's kind of the idea. we'll do we'll do some more legitimate giveaways in the future. Uh we've done giveaways before, so I've given away like I think some hats before. Um Send them to they're all Eagles fans who won them. But yeah, we'll see. I don't think it's gonna happen either. But jerseys are expensive now, so it's gotta be a big deal. The Ravens will have GM Eric DeCosta talk to reporters today at 5 p.m. That's going to be a fun press conference. I hope he gets grilled by someone because it is very clear what happened. Um, I don't know if the Baltimore media is going to be kind to him or not, but I hope someone gets up there and says, like, hey, like, it's very, very clear what you just did. According to this bot account, it says EDC at the podium means one thing: business is about to be discussed. No small talk, just moves. Well, you said wake up, Josh, you're dreaming. I hope I'm dreaming because this has been a nightmare. Like Trey Hendrickson to the Ravens, that's like the evil twin that shows up in a Disney Channel original movie. In all dark, and he's wearing purple now, and it's just so sad. But yeah, I hope Eric DeCosta gets absolutely grilled. I hope that there are other GMs in the league that are grilling him, that are, upset about what happened, and they aren't just, patronizing the fans. Let's see. No big news, no big news, no big news. Okay, cool. This so from my understanding, it is 100% the responsibility of the Baltimore Ravens to pass Maxx Crosby in his physical. I don't understand if that means that they have to provide him a legitimate reason to pass him in his physical, or if the team doctors can just say, like, oh, you can't run a 3-minute mile. Okay, we're failing you. Or, like, you know what I mean? Like, just some kind of BS thing. And we did know that Trey Hendrickson's deal that he was asking for was kind of being laughed at by teams. Whatever that was, he wanted over 30 million a year. Now his ceiling is 30 million a year. I don't know how this isn't shady. I don't know how the NFL is going to allow something. So, Maxx Crosby said goodbye to Las Vegas. He said he was ready to be a Baltimore Raven. They had statements and like all the media, and like the NFL had this huge story, this huge narrative. I can't imagine that the league is going to be happy that one of their, I guess, biggest teams. I don't know that they're their market share value, but I'd say most popular with Lamar Jackson, and they've got some big names that they just brought. They brought Maxx Crosby in. It was going to be huge. Like they were going to have like a Ray Lewis type player again, and then they backed out of it. I cannot imagine the league is happy about this either. I don't know that they can find them, but there's got to be some sort of fallout to this. Could you imagine if the Bengals did this? This would be, oh my gosh, there would be guys all over ESPN talking about how cheap the Bengals are. It's obviously all over still, but I feel like most of the ESPN people have been generally kind of nice about it and been like, oh, this is a smart move for the Baltimore Ravens because Trey Hendrickson is available. Imagine Crosby flames the Raiders. Yeah, like the fact that he said, I wish we could have gotten a championship in Las Vegas, and like that he'll always be a Raider and that he hopes to return one day. He probably returned sooner than what he expected, but he did return. That kind of saved him, I think, in the eyes of Raiders fans. And now this Raiders defense is going to be really, really, really good. They got Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker. They brought in Tyler Linderbaum on the offensive line. Jalen Naylor. They've had a really good free agency. And if you look at it one way, they signed one of the biggest pass rushers in the league. So, and they still have the first overall pick. So if you flip the, perspective a little bit there, maybe you just add him to your long list of Raiders successes. We got 3:30 p.m. Let's see what we got. Our top 5 free agents, but who else is still available? Who else is still out there? So we talked about how Kyler Murray is probably going to take a few moments to decide. He is number 11. There are no more top 10 free agents available. Everyone has been signed. To recap those guys real quickly, Tyler Linderbaum was number 1. He went to the Raiders. Trey Hendrickson to the Ravens. George Pickens is staying with the Cowboys on the franchise tag. Pierce is re-signing with the Colts. Jalen Watson to the Rams. Jalen Phillips will be a Panther. Odafe Owe is heading to the Commanders. John Franklin Myers, another guy the Bengals were interested in but didn't quite get there with, the Titans. Guard Connor McGovern is staying with the Bills, and then Kyle Pitts will be staying with the Falcons on a franchise tag. Then at number 11 is Kyler Murray. He's still available. Number 12 was Boye Mafe. Obviously, he's a Bengal. We've talked about him a ton. Devin Lloyd to the Panthers. Breece Hall staying with the Jets on the franchise tag, although possibly not happily. I don't know if he's signed that yet. That may be something to watch. Daniel Jones is staying with the Colts on that 2-year, $88 million deal that we talked about. After that, Jaquan Brisker's available. Rasheed Walker's available. Nick Cross is a Commander. He's no longer available. CBS, you need to update your list. Juwan Jennings is available. Joey Bosa is available. And Bobby Wagner is available. Stephon Diggs, Chigga Quanquo went to the Commanders. Joel Bitonio, I know that we had some Chargers fans in here looking for a guard. Joel Bitonio is still available. That is currently your best guard option for free agency. Just hurts that they don't have the 13th pick. They could have gotten a good wide. Yeah, that was kind of what my thought process was too with that pick. Obviously, signing Tyler Linderbaum helps a ton, but you could have gotten. I would have expected them to go with probably Fano if that tackle out of Miami, Francis Magoa, was gone. I say his name wrong every time. I'm sorry. Let's look it up. It took me like 2 years to learn to say Tua Tagovailoa. So Noah. Maui Noah. So Francis Maui Noah. if he's gone, I expected him to take Spencer Fano, possibly. But yeah, you're right. They could have taken a wide receiver as well. A lot of depth at the wide receiver position, though, in this draft. And they've already got I guess they don't have Jacoby. I was thinking they still had Jacoby Myers, but they traded Jacoby Myers. So never mind. They do have Brock Bowers, though. So that'll be good. They got Ashton Gianti. I think Clint Kubiak offense can work really well with the Raiders. It was something I was really scared the Ravens were going to get. I thought that they were going to bring in Clint Kubiak to run that kind of Shanahan-style offense with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. That would have been terrifying. But if Fernando Mendoza can be slightly mobile, which we have seen him do at Indianapolis, if he can be slightly mobile, at least I think Brock Purdy level mobility, then you've got Ashton Gianti. You can have a really good offense there under Clint Kubiak. They got Jalen Naylor, great wide receiver 3. Yeah. Excuse me. They need more though. Like Jalen Naylor is a great player. Don't get me wrong, but like you just said, he's a wide receiver 3. Who's going to be our primary weapon for Fernando Mendoza? And Fernando Mendoza has been very honest and straightforward the entire time that he is not a generational guy who's going to like come in and change the entire, culture. He relies heavily on his weapons. He relied on Elijah Surratt. He relied on Charlie Becker. He relied a lot on his run game. Now, is he still a very good quarterback? Yes, but he's more of a distributor than he is a someone like Joe Burrow or Josh Allen or maybe even Justin Herbert, who is able to come in and just elevate the team alone. Fernando Mendoza does lift up the team a little bit, but he relies on other people to help him as well. And so the Raiders need to give him those people. Must be dusty in here. Or it's the pollen. I don't know. But if I'm the Raiders, I'd be looking at bringing in maybe one more wide receiver, drafting one as well. Amari Cooper Jr. is in this draft from IU. Elijah Surratt, who I really like, is in this draft from IU. Elijah Surratt's probably a wide receiver 2 in the NFL, though. And Cooper Jr. has potential to be a wide receiver 1. If they fall to the second round, well, Surratt should fall to the second round. If Cooper falls to the second round, maybe they go after him since Mendoza already has a rapport with him. Ted Karras tweeted, "Only way we forgive Trey is if he donates $1 million to the Cincy Hat Foundation." Dude, it might be. Like, I don't know. Like, I might need to go blow my nose here for a second because it's dusty. But Ted Karras does not appear to be happy about this. I hope that Reisner and Mims in Orlando give him a good old goose egg, though, in Cincinnati. I hope that Trey Hendrickson does nothing against the Ravens or against the Bengals. He can have success against every other team. I don't care. I hope he gets nothing against the Bengals. And I am going to go blow my nose because I'm going to start sneezing again. So here is a quick little video clip. I'm back. We're back. Nose cleared. And we've got a notification on X. Is it a signing? The Vikings. This is for you, Chris. I'll play the clip just for you. Since it's our final day, we're gonna play this a lot. The Vikings are releasing defensive tackle Javon Hargrave today. So no trade will happen with Javon Hargrave. The new league year does begin today as well. So maybe now the Bengals go after him. I'm wondering if did you hear that before or after I said what it was? Because you're really excited for him to be released. But he is released. Javon Hargrave has been released. I love that song too. I'd love to play it when the Bengals do something. But Javon Hargrave, they've cleared the cap space. So maybe now they can make some moves in Minnesota. I know you didn't get Logan Hall. Defensive tackle Javon Hargrave is expected to be released by the Vikings at the start of the new league year here today. So at least you know your GM's awake because he restructured Aaron Jones's deal and he's releasing a player. I'm not confident that ours is even awake right now. We weren't confident it wasn't going to be a trade, though. Like I said, I just wanted to play the thing. But we do know that he's being released. We'll see if he gets signed to a new team now that they don't have to trade for him. Must not have had a great trade market, so it'll be interesting to see if he has any interest as a free agent. Azeez Ojulari is signing a 1-year deal with the Falcons. So another edge off the board. Oh, that's right. Your interim GM is at least awake. Again, that's even worse actually. But at least your interim GM is awake. I forgot that you guys fired your GM, Quezzy. You loved Quezzy though. Amika Egbuka just tweeted asking, "Is CTE even real?" He's joining the Puka Nakua and Antonio Brown track, I guess. If the Bengals did what the Ravens did, Bengals fans would be calling them geniuses for keeping their picks. The only reason Bengals fans don't like it is that it makes the Ravens. Yeah, that it makes the Ravens better. I don't want the Ravens to be better. That's exactly why I don't like it. I still think it's kind of shady as well, and I would think it was kind of shady if the Bengals did it. But yeah, I don't like it because it makes the Ravens better. That's what this falls on. I don't like anything that makes the Ravens better. Chris, do we know who the Vikings GM is potentially going to be? Has there been rumors of, them? I've got to imagine they've been interviewing people throughout this process. Are there any big names that have stuck out or stick out to you as candidates to be the GM? Or has that been a very quiet process? We'll see. while Chris is thinking, see where we're at on the stream. Can I see the viewership? Or can I not see that till after? I don't think maybe I can't see that till after. Like the total views. I can see who's in here right now, but I can't see the total views till after. Okay. Well, let's keep hanging out. Let's hope something happens. The new league year begins in 15 minutes. It's 14 minutes now. So we got we're going to have some Happy New Year action. Let's talk about Azeez Ojulari for a second here. For those who may not know, I guess he's a guy who I've been keeping an eye on for a while. He's someone that I really like. So Azeez Ojulari, he was with the Eagles last year. Didn't really, I guess, pan out to what they wanted him to be. But I thought that he had a ton of potential. He's kind of in that same category as where I'd put Joseph Asai. He was with the Giants for most of his career, starting in 2021. Good tackler, had a ton of sacks his rookie year. He had 8 sacks his rookie year. So obviously came out the gate just screaming, and kind of pandered off as he went on. But that potential and that athleticism is still there. So he's only 25 years old, I believe. So it would be interesting to see now that he's not with the Eagles. Eagles have a great edge room, great linebacker room. So he kind of got buried on that depth chart. It'll be interesting to see if he's able to do something with the Falcons, especially now that James Pierce Jr. it's not looking too hot for James Pierce Jr. I don't want to get into the legal stuff with that, but if you're bored ever and you want to look up James Pierce Jr., he got into some legal trouble. So that's what we'll say about that. That trade the Rams were kind of laughing all the way to the bank on that trade, I think, because they ended up getting trades with the Falcons, so the Falcons could trade back into the first to draft James Pierce Jr., and now James Pierce Jr. may not even be able to play. Looked really good his rookie year too, so that's just unfortunate that he I don't get why people ruin their careers like that, but let's move on before I say something I shouldn't. Come on, we need a linebacker bad. That's what the Bengals need, a starting linebacker. Like it's not a question of want, it's a question of need. And you'd think that the front office would agree, but here we are. Commanders. Oh, we got the 49ers tight end Jake Tongas agreed to a new deal just before the restricted free agent tender deadline. It's a 2-year contract for $8 million, including $5.5 million guaranteed. So, Jake Tongas, not a huge name in the NFL, got a little bit of playing time when George Kittle went down this season. What are his stats specifically? We saw him a little bit. He's 26 years old. Has been in the league for 3 seasons. Well, That's kind of interesting. I don't know a lot about him, but what I'm saying is interesting. Isn't he doesn't have a stat line for 2023, but it says that he came into the league in 2022 with the Bears, and then was on the 49ers in 2024. Still doesn't have a stat line. And then in 2025, he had 34 receptions for 293 yards. So effectively, the way this looks, he started his career in 2025, at least getting significant regular season snaps. And he had 5 touchdowns on 34 receptions. So a red zone target for Brock Purdy when George Kittle was out. So that's interesting as well. So Jake Tongas gets a new deal with the 49ers. Clearly, he was an important depth piece for them. It's kind of unfortunate, George Kittle. He does have that. He's such a good player, but he does have that injury history. We also got a new update for the Vikings. Another release. They're officially releasing Harrison Smith. I know that's not big news. It's still unknown whether Harrison Smith will retire, whether he would play for another team, and what the Vikings apparently would also welcome his return on a new contract. So lots happening there with Harrison Smith, but he has officially been released by the Minnesota Vikings. Again, I know that's not news. I won't play the breaking news clip. I already did that to you once, Chris, but just sharing the updates as they come onto my screen. Remember, all the deals can be officially signed today as well, in 8 minutes. So we should be. The Raiders shouldn't have to pull out of any of these deals based on the math that has been calculated by other people smarter than me. But those deals have not been official till now, and they should be official and getting signed and knocked out in 7 minutes. And that's also when teams will be able to, once they've signed that physical contract, that's when teams can announce these. If you follow the team, some of the teams have I know the Bengals didn't, but I saw that the Commanders did, and I think the Falcons did, they've been posting memes about how they can't announce anything and how everything's kind of unofficial. But these announcements are generally pretty good. Schefter, Rappaport, Pelissero, Rossini, they all do a pretty good job of letting us know ahead of time. But nothing is official yet. We will see. Another thing with the 49ers, Brandon Ayuk is very likely is going to be released today as well. They're moving on from him. Remember, they got that Mike Evans signing, so they got their replacement there. NFL just posted the Ravens are getting one of the most effective pass rushers in the league in Trey Hendrickson. Well, that sucks. Hopefully, Shamar Stewart's up on that chart next year. But it's been rough. I've got to take down my Michael Pittman Jr. autograph that I've got, and now I've got to take down my Trey Hendrickson autograph that I got. It hurts. But this isn't the first time we've seen this happen. I mean, Will Anderson went to the Ravens too in 2008, Bengals legend. So not the first time. Probably won't be the last time, unfortunately. It's just, part of the game. The Jets. Ooh, this is one of our top 100 guys, so we're gonna play it. B, I don't know if you're in here, but there's another guard off the board. The Jets are agreeing to terms with former Raiders guard Dylan Parham. He gets a 2-year deal worth up to $20 million. Then why does Willie Anderson still hang out with the Bengals more? Chris? But the Jets are adding to that offensive line. Elijah Vera Tucker went to the Patriots, so they needed to find a replacement for him. Dylan Parham, not a bad guard. He isn't the greatest guard, and I don't know that he is. I would say he's not better than Elijah Vera Tucker when Elijah Vera Tucker is healthy, but I think that Dylan Parham is probably more consistently healthy than Elijah Vera Tucker. So you've got that going for you. How many? He had some penalties, 5 penalties in 2025, and he was credited with 6 sacks allowed. So not the best in terms of production, not the worst either. He's probably average, but I do think that consistency is going to be where this pays off for the Jets if he can stay healthy, because the Jets were constantly having to redo their O-line, move guys around, move Joe Tippmann around, move whoever around, and it just that gets confusing. You lose chemistry on the line. So Dylan Parham is coming to the New York Jets, hopefully going to stay healthy. I'm seeing if we can pull up his career injury history. I know that he's had some injuries. I think ankle injuries, but so he has very rarely missed time. He had an ankle sprain in 2025, a foot injury in 2024, and an illness in 2026, or so early 2026. He was ruled out in the final game of 2025, the 2025 season, due to an illness. He missed 2 weeks in 2024 due to a foot injury in week 6. He started in 15 games. In 2023, he started all 17 games. And in 2022, his rookie season, he started all 17 games. So he's been pretty reliable. He's only missed a few games here and there due to injury. So that'll be something that the Jets rely on a ton. Chargers shouldn't be allowed to have more than $30 million in cap space at this point. Dude, I'm starting to feel that way too. Like, at least extend DJ Turner or do something. Extend Dax Hill. Like, do something. You don't have to sign a free agent at this. Like, just show the people you're paying attention. Because now we're going to have to, do the whole extension drama with DJ Turner. They could just knock it out right now. Do something. The Chargers and the Bengals are in the same boat. Do something. Extend Dax Hill. Extend DJ Turner. Extend Chase Brown if you want to. If you feel safer with that. But they're not doing anything right now. Vikings owners aren't spending any money this year after spending the most cash last season. Yeah, they did some restructures too, didn't they? Am I misremembering? I feel like I thought they did some restructures, so it kind of looked like they were going to make a move, and then they didn't make a move. Joel Bitonio, B. Wilkes. I don't know if you were in here when we talked about it when Dylan Parham got signed, but Joel Bitonio is currently the best available guard, even before Dylan Parham got signed, I believe. So you've got your guy still there, veteran leader, assuming he doesn't retire. Now, is there entirely a possibility that, they've been telling teams that he's going to retire and it just hasn't gotten out yet? Yeah. But so far, we don't know anything about that. Okay, I thought you did do some restructures. I saw the Lions did a restructure as well of Jared Goff's contract. And so I thought that maybe they would make a move for Trey Hendrickson. And can you imagine Aiden Hutchinson and Trey Hendrickson on the same team? That would have been terrifying. But I could have rooted for that at least. Falcons have officially released Kirk Cousins after 2 seasons. He's a free agent, and he's owed $10 million from the Falcons for this upcoming season. So Kirk Cousins is a free agent. We can add him to the list. The new official Falcons quarterback room is Michael Penix Jr. and Tua Tagovailoa. No more Kirk Cousins. Does Kirk Cousins return to Minnesota? Does he go to the New York Jets? Does he go somewhere else? These are all questions that we will answer eventually on No Buts About It once we have the answer. But as of now, Kirk Cousins is a free agent. He can go and talk with teams, and him getting that $10 million is going to be helpful. Cousins is going to want money, but also he shown, Cousins is a generational contract guy. We know that. But he's getting $10 million from the Falcons already. And he wasn't a starter. He started a little bit with Michael Penix being injured, but he's older now. Maybe there's something, he'll take a pay cut just to be a starter again. I don't know. I don't know what his thought process is. But Kyler Murray has also just been officially released by the Cardinals. So he is officially a free agent. And Ian Rappaport just posted, listen up, Chris. The Vikings plan to make a push for Kyler Murray and are the favorite to land the former number 1 pick. So you guys are the favorite to land Kyler Murray. Keep in mind that, he's probably going to sign. I think there's a tier where once a team owes you this much, you have to sign for the vet minimum. I could be wrong about that, but that is my understanding. And that is $1.3 million. So it's expected, at least, that Kyler Murray is going to sign with his next team for $1.3 million. The Jets have Geno Smith. They traded for Geno Smith. I don't know that they're going to run Geno Smith out there as the starter. Maybe they are. But Kyler Murray is out there as the starting option for the Minnesota Vikings. The New Orleans Saints have officially welcomed Travis Etienne to their team. So that's official. I like Kirk O'Chains, though. I think I get it. I've said the same stuff about Trey Hendrickson, right? But I think at heart, he's a good guy. But anyone in their job is going to try and get more money, right? So I get it, though. I get the angst. So now teams, we're 3 minutes into the new year. Teams can officially announce their signings. Contracts should be getting signed as we speak officially. We're starting to see some players get released who we expected to. So Trey Hendrickson, I haven't thought. So here's the thing: the contract that the Ravens gave him is very similar to what the Bengals offered in terms of year-to-year averages. It seems like the only two differences were I think he got an extra year, because I believe the original contract was 3 year, $90 million, and the guarantees went beyond the first year. But beyond that, the amount of money that he's going to make, even actually before incentives, is less per year. Because I think it's $28 million per year, and he would have made $30 million a year without incentives, if I'm remembering correctly. I think it got to a point where he was just like, I'm not going back to the Bengals. I will go anywhere but the Bengals. And then the Ravens got a hold of that and realized, hey, we can get him without, signing, you are giving away our first round picks. And so the Ravens did that. I don't think that it was an overpay. I think it's an overpay possibly for a team who said their excuse was that they didn't want to pay an injured player in Maxx Crosby, because Trey Hendrickson is currently injured as well. But yeah, Kirk Cousins is an average quarterback. You can win one playoff game with him. That's his ceiling. That's a decent ceiling, though, because there are quarterbacks in the league who can't even make the playoffs. So um, I get that's not the goal, but currently the Raiders are expected to show interest in Kirk Cousins, which would make sense. They have said they want to sign a veteran so that Fernando doesn't have to start day one. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like Oweh getting 25 million, definitely. I would have said Hendrickson is worth 30 million. Like I agree with that. I don't think anyone disagreed with that. But the guarantees were the concern the entire time. Like if he would have been guaranteed money last year, he would have been guaranteed given $30 million or whatever it was to not play most of the season. And that was the concern that the Bengals had was, hey, you're 31 years old. Are you gonna get injured and then not be the same? Are you gonna fall off? And I said before, like it's like that's the risk you take. But then it happened. It happened. He got hurt. Now we don't know if he's and the Ravens are taking that risk instead. I wish him the best as a player or as a person. I do hope that the Bengals are able to goose egg him though when they play and they face off. I'm sure it'll be a big narrative thing on those days, those two games. Like how Micah Parsons returning to face the Cowboys was, but. The Cardinals owe Kyler Murray $36.8 million fully guaranteed. So, and then he would be expected to compete with JJ McCarthy for the starting job. So we got that. It's hard. Okay. The other thing is like at some point you have like Trey Hendrickson wasn't going to be a Cincinnati Bengal, right? We all know that. I think what hurts more is that he went to the Ravens. It's not that he isn't a Bengal because we knew that he's either going to retire or he's going to go somewhere else. That was pretty much expected. One day, and the team had to get younger at edge. They just had to. It's part of the game. You have to continue to like have guys because that's what happened. That's what got us in trouble in the first place. We ran Sam Hubbard into the ground and didn't allow Miles Murphy to like really get any starts. And then when Sam Hubbard retired, Miles Murphy just was kind of raw and out there, and you didn't have this like development period. So hopefully last year they were able to get some reps in and they won't be at such a cold start, but it is hard losing a guy like Trey Hendrickson as well. It goes both ways. And it also hurts that they're not adding linebackers. They added a safety, they added an edge. Now give me a linebacker. And they added an edge with the upside of Trey Hendrickson. I think Boye Mafe does have the potential to be a Trey Hendrickson type player because he has very similar stats and actually better athleticism than what Trey Hendrickson had when he came into the Bengals. His pressure rate is higher. His quarterback his quarterback pass rush rate is higher. So I think that Boye Mafe has that upside. We know Shamar Stewart has that upside. They just have to realize it. They have to get developed, and that's going to be up to Al Golden and Jerry Montgomery to do. Do you think Ravens had buyer's remorse for Crosby and figured, yeah, the whole failing the physical thing, I think that's BS. We talked about this a little bit earlier. He had a meniscus surgery in like January. And so the rumor that I saw at least was that he couldn't touch his toes, and that was what was concerning to him. And like I said earlier, reach down and try to touch your toes and feel all the tendons and muscles that pull in the side and back of your legs, right? I don't know why you would sincerely expect a guy who's barely 2 months post meniscus surgery to be able to touch his toes. I'm not a doctor. I'm just kind of using like what I perceive to be common sense here. I wouldn't expect him to be able to run that fast either, or have, if at all. But everyone knew that going into the trade. Like, I knew that he had that surgery, and I'm not close to the teams at all. It's not like they found like some like torn like rotator cuff or some other injury or something. They found an injury that we already knew was there. And they used it as an excuse to kind of get out of it, realize they could get Trey Hendrickson, and made a lot of people mad in the process. But hey, that's the Baltimore Ravens for you, I guess. The Lions are releasing defensive lineman Josh Pascal, their 2022 second round pick out of Kentucky. I thought Josh, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm mistaken. I thought Josh Pascal had some pretty good seasons. I'll have to ask Dion about that, but what is our stat? I guess not as great as I thought. Okay, I may be mistaken. 62 tackles across 3 seasons, 5 sacks. Okay, maybe I probably incorrect on this. The Panthers have officially agreed to terms with Devin Lloyd. The Buffalo Bills have officially welcomed DJ Moore. So, but yes, B, to short answer your question, yes, I think they had buyer's remorse. Yeah, at this point, yeah, I would take anyone for depth. Josh Pascal, I thought he was better than what his stat line is showing. So we're gonna have to investigate that a little bit more. But the Bengals need D-line depth too, so that could be very helpful. Man, this Panthers Devin Lloyd graphic looks good, but it would look a lot better in orange and black. The blue and black looks cool. The orange and black would look better. Just saying. Like, Duke Tobin not only took away a great player from us, but he also took away the great chance to have graphic design win. Yeah, I think he'd be cheap. He would be cheap. So, Philadelphia Eagles have officially agreed to terms with Reek Woolen. The Cleveland Browns have officially announced their trade with the Texans for Titus Howard. So nothing new yet. This is all stuff that we knew. This is all stuff we expected to happen. Again, these teams can just now announce these things. Did Josh Pascal just not play a ton? Is that, or did he get injured? What? May 2025, he underwent surgery to fix a disc issue, causing him to miss the majority of the 2025 season on the NFI. He was shut down in November and did not play the rest of the year. 2024, missed time with a shoulder issue to have a non-cancerous mass removed. Missed games in 2023 due to a new knee injury. And then he missed time his rookie season due to a sports hernia surgery. So really, it's just been a lot of just injuries kind of sidelining Josh Pascal, it seems. Because I thought that, like, when he was on the field, he was a decent player. But yeah, sometimes injuries just take down guys like that, unfortunately. And former second-round pick has now been released by the Lions in Josh Pascal. Maybe the team signs him for cheap, though, like Chris suggested the Vikings should do. The Panthers have officially agreed to terms with quarterback Kenny Pickett. Chuss is going to have to get a Panthers jersey now. He's a big Kenny Pickett guy. Jets agreed to terms with guard Dylan Parham on a 2-year deal worth up to $20 million. That's official. I want to hear if Hall of Famer Harrison Smith will retire. I don't know. He hasn't made a decision yet. The Hitman has not made a decision. Very good safety. He's been underrated his entire career. I definitely think he has a case for the Hall of Fame. I don't know if it's first ballot, but very underrated player his entire career. And I've got a ton of respect for Harrison Smith. I made a video years ago on this channel about Harrison Smith. There were points that we wanted Harrison Smith to come to the Bengals when it was looking like he was going to be a free agent or get cut. That never happened, and I know Vikings fans are thankful for that. But now he has been released, and he has to decide whether he wants to retire or not, or whether he'll go to another team, or if he could return to the Vikings on a new contract as well. So maybe he was released with the understanding that he's going to come back to the Vikings, and he just hasn't made that announcement yet. Joe Goodberry tweeted, "I wish the Bengals would just feel something." Do something. Joe Goodberry is not a fan of of a possible Javon Hargrave signing for the Bengals. Yeah, I don't know that I'd want to pay the money for someone his age. I don't know that I'm as against it as Joe appears to be, but one of the favorite Vikings all time, completely understandable. Nothing. To answer your question, B. Welts, they have done nothing. That's not entirely true. They obviously signed Boye Mafe and Brian Cook, and then they extended Dalton Reisner. Those are the three moves they've done in terms of free agency. We're looking so good day one. We're winning free agency. We're not there now. That's not the vibe now. The Bengals aren't in the mix for free agent offensive linebacker Arnold Ebiketie per source. Cincinnati showed initial interest but moved in a different direction. Is that different direction doing nothing? Is that direction a stop sign? This whole chat is just filled with angsty fans of teams that haven't done anything. And we can all just suffer together. It's Diana Rossini just tweeted, or it just popped up. She tweeted it 6 hours ago. It's been made clear by multiple people around the NFL at all levels that Baltimore had all the information and understood where Maxx Crosby's knee was in terms of recovery. Many in the league believe GM Eric DaCosta and the Ravens ultimately just got cold feet. And again, they are supposed to speak in about 40 minutes. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how he tries to spin this. But basically, yeah, it sounds like they just realized they could get Trey Hendrickson. And didn't feel comfortable with where Maxx Crosby was after agreeing to everything. Yeah, no, they started off so hot. Like Duke said that he was all in. He's never been all in, never not been all in. And everyone kind of rolled their eyes like, okay, whatever, Duke. And then they came out swinging with Brian Cook, who fans wanted, and Boye Mafe, who was a bit of a split decision, but some fans wanted him. And I think fans are generally in favor of the signing and will root for him. And then did nothing on day two. And so far, they've done nothing on day three other than lose Trey Hendrickson to an AFC North rival. Joseph Asai went to the Jets. You haven't signed a linebacker. We've watched a bunch of cheap linebackers go off the board who could have started for the Bengals, who would have worked well in the system. Vikings hosting Murray for workouts. Yeah, I think he's going to end up being a Viking based on everything we're hearing. I haven't even heard a rumor yet that there's another team interested in him. It may just be understood by teams that Kyler Murray is a Viking. Like, there's no question about it, especially after the Jets traded for Geno Smith. So that would put Kirk Cousins at the Raiders, Jacoby Brissett with the Cardinals, and Gardner Minshew as the backup, Tua with the Falcons, and then you've probably got a bunch of rookies who will start as backups, would be my guess. No one's going to come in and be a starter week one unless Fernando Mendoza somehow were to beat out Kirk Cousins as the starter in Las Vegas. But I would think with as much of a change they've had on their O-line, with Dylan Parham coming in, Tyler Linderbaum being a big one, you're going to first want to get the rapport down between Kirk Cousins, Fernando Mendoza, and Tyler Linderbaum. And then you're going to want the chemistry of that O-line to be set as well, so that your first overall pick doesn't get injured. Offensive line chemistry is so big, and that's why it's such a big deal that this is the first time in Joe Burrow's career that they are returning every single starter on the O-line. From Orlando Brown Jr. all the way down to Amarius Mims. They're all returning this year. First time in Joe Burrow's career that is happening. So the Patriots did not tender restricted free agent Jack Gibbons, one of New England's leading tacklers in 2025, is now a free agent. Okay, we like tacklers. We like guys who can make sure tackles. We like guys who can make a lot of tackles without missing a lot of tackles as well. So I don't know if Jack Gibbons fits that description, but he is a linebacker. He's a linebacker on the board, and at this point, that's kind of what we're just hoping for. I agree, Chris. Is there any trade talks or rumor Bengals are in with teams for a line? Not that I've seen. Not that I've heard. All I've heard is that they're not interested in certain linebackers. Joe Goodberry less than an hour ago had tweeted that Arnold Ebiketie is the free agent target number 1 now. And then obviously Kelsey Conway tweeted that thing that I just said, that they aren't in the mix for Arnold Ebiketie. They showed initial interest but moved on. Oh, that Emeka Egbuka tweet that I read earlier about CTE. Apparently the Buccaneers have now tweeted, it is in no way affiliated with Emeka or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the CTE, is CTE even real tweet? That's not him. Falcons have officially announced that they released Kirk Cousins. Jets officially announced that they traded for Geno Smith. But no, B-Wilkes, no trade rumors right now for a linebacker. Ben Baby, who's the beat reporter for the Bengals at ESPN, tweeted that none of the free agency signings make sense for a team that already has 2 starting linebackers. And there was this idea that Al Golden viewed both Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight Jr. as starting linebackers. However, I don't know if he was being sarcastic or if he's actually like reporting and saying that that's what the Bengals view this as, because If that's what the Bengals view this as, I'm legitimately concerned about our scouting um, in the linebacker room. If we're viewing, uh, you know, Barrett Carter as if he's going to be, I think he could be. The thing is, I don't want to like just continue to just criticize Barrett Carter because I like Barrett Carter and I think he could be a great player for this team just in a different role. I think he could be a fantastic special teamer. He could be a fantastic depth linebacker. He could be a fantastic linebacker in special packages. He just cannot be at this point from what we've seen the starting guy in your main package. That's my concern. I'm not saying we need to cut Barrett Carter. I'm not saying we need to get rid of Barrett Carter. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying where Barrett Carter appears to be in his career right now, from what we have seen, and he has shown flashes. And if he, becomes that guy, great. But right now, sign a vet. Sign a vet to not only you talking all season about how you need leaders in these rooms. Sign someone who can come in and be a leader for Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight. Because right now they don't have that. We do have a signing though. So here we go. The Bills are signing former Dolphins offensive or outside linebacker, offensive linebacker. That'd be an interesting position to a 3-year, $43.5 million deal per Adam Schefter. So a big pass rusher off the board, big offensive linebacker off the board. Not someone who 2 days ago I wouldn't necessarily have been interested in the Bengals going after, but at this point we're kind of talking about going after anyone. Has had some injury struggles, but is a very, very good player when healthy. Will be great for Buffalo. So that is a good move. I can only use that sounder if the Vikings or Bengals do a signing. Well, then we're never going to hear it again. And I spent a lot of time making it, and I want to use it. But yeah, I spent some time on that sounder. We got to get this up on Instagram though. This is a big enough signing that it gets its own post. I think this is the biggest signing we've had since I posted the quick recap. So, but Bradley Chubb goes to a division rival after being, I believe he was released by the Miami Dolphins earlier this year. He was kind of part of that fire sale that they did with Minkah Fitzpatrick and, some of the Tyreek Hill was on that list as well. Tua was obviously on that list. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that you like this. I like the sirens. The sirens are my favorite part of that. But yeah, I've been trying to do more graphics. So I didn't want you guys just staring at the back of this chair the entire time, like if I had to get up. So that's why I made the "we'll be right back" thing. But let's get a post up here. What do we think about Bradley Chubb to the Bills? That very likely means that Joey Bosa will be playing on a new team. Will it be with his brother in San Francisco? We don't know that yet. He is still a free agent. But Bradley Chubb to the Bills, 3-year deal. Ian Rappaport is saying it's $43.5 million with $29 guaranteed. So pretty good signing for Bradley Chubb. Almost $15 million a year, not quite there, but good portion of it guaranteed. Dre Greenlaw is also out there. Speaking of defensive linebacker, since I made up a position. Linebackers who have been released. Dre Greenlaw is expected to be released by the Broncos. That's another. Hey, Cincinnati. He's coming off injury, but he looked really good in San Francisco. He'd be a leader on the team. He's a hard hitter. We like hard hitters. Might be something to watch. Please. Duke Tobin, if you're out there, if you're one of the 4 people in the lobby right now, Dre Greenlaw, I think most fans would be very happy with that signing. Think it's a good move for Buffalo? I think it's a good. I think it can be a good. The Bills had tried for Trey Hendrickson, and they were also in the initial Maxx Crosby trade. They ended up with Bradley Chubb. Bradley Chubb is not bad at all if he can stay healthy. Are there offensive linebackers who I accidentally said, because it said OLB for outside linebacker, and I accidentally said offensive linebacker. I don't know what that would look like. Maybe that's just a running back, I guess. But yeah, apparently here at No Butts About It, there are offensive linebackers and defensive linebackers. New position. So congrats, Bradley Chubb, on being one of the NFL's first ever offensive linebackers. I think Dre Greenlaw, if we got him on a good deal, he could be a leader on the team. He could be a heavy, hard hitter like the Bengals have liked in the past, with like Adam Jones, Vontaze Burfict, Trey Hendrickson was a heavy hitter too. I think he could be a good fit, and he could be someone who maybe, if you really believe in Barrett Carter, you sign him to a 2-year deal. Worst case scenario, he becomes awesome depth. It's a prove it deal for the Bengals and for Dre Greenlaw. That could work out. The Eagles are continuing to inquire about edge Jonathan Grenard. So we could see an Eagles signing here in a little bit. If we get Joey Bosa, that should not be our big signing. Like, Joey Bosa is not the Joey Bosa that we are used to. I get he's probably the biggest name we would sign, but in terms of like expectations for him, I would probably still be expecting more out of Boye Mafe, to be honest. Just because of age and injury history. But I'm not saying I'm against a Joey Bosa signing at all, but I think that Joey Bosa would probably just be more of a rotational depth piece and another veteran leader that could be on this D-line to help Shamar and Miles. But he's not the Joey Bosa we're used to anymore, I think. I think maybe he resurges. $43.5 million deal with $29M guaranteed with the hashtag Bills per at rap sheet. If you're not following us on Instagram already, you can. It is NoButts_show. I post pretty much the same things that I post in the community tab on Instagram. So you see them 2 places then. That's NoButts_show on Instagram. Let's see. B. Wilkes. I know all about Bosa. You don't want him. He won't stay healthy. If you want him for 10 games, then it would be fine. And that's kind of my point. Like, if you're bringing him in to be a mentor to Shamar Stewart and to Miles Murphy and to maybe be like a rusher on clear third down passing situations or something like that. Utilize him in a special package or personnel group. That would be one thing. I don't want to bring him in expecting him to be the primary starter on the team. That would be an issue for me. I would still like to see them give Myles Murphy a chance to earn that starting spot. I think he's got potential. This is going to be the first year that he comes in as a clear-cut starter, barring something happening in the draft. And the same thing like with Shamar. Shamar got injured his rookie year. He's got the athletic profile of an absolute amazing player. So I'm cool with giving these guys reps, but I also want, to add depth, add a veteran presence. Because after Shamar went down, we had nothing. And really, after Trey went down, actually, we had nothing. And then even after Shamar went down, it got way worse. So you need multiple guys who can rush the passer. You can't just be relying on one guy. And we have seen that time and time again with the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's update this. I cannot type. But it is a good draft class at edge. I don't want them to spend another first round pick at edge because they've spent it on Myles Murphy and they spent it on Shamar Stewart. I would have much rather them signed a vet, and then you don't have to. I don't like going into the draft with these clear cut holes. That's why I want them to sign a vet. If you get to the third round and the BPA is an edge, awesome. Then you can get one. But that's kind of that's hard to tell right now. This draft is really weird. We talked about it again last year. I don't know where the edge rushers are going to fall. I don't know what the quality of edge rusher is going to be at that certain point in the draft. And when you go into the draft with holes, it causes you to reach. And we've done that, and we're looking like we're going to do that again. Offensive tackle. Whoa. I'm just making up positions all over the place. Offensive tackle Jedrick Wills Jr. is signing a 1-year deal with the Bears. So, they lost Ozzie, their left tackle, in Chicago during the playoffs, I believe it was. So, Jedrick Wills Jr. is heading over there, possibly going to add some depth to that locker room, to that O-line, maybe even get a few starts at tackle since they need Ozzie to return from injury still. So good signing for the Bears, I think. Assuming it seems like it's going to be a relatively cheap deal if it's only 1 year. And I would expect him to be the Ozzie replacement for the time being until Ozzie gets healthy again. The Bears spent a ton on redoing their offensive line, and then Drew Dahlman retired, and then Ozzie got hurt, and it was just like, oh, okay, you're kind of back to stage one. Not as much because you still have Joe Thuney and you still have some good players, but I'm sure that was a little bit annoying. If the Bengals can get their defense to be middle of the pack, they will become totally. I think so. Brian Cook is a huge upgrade over Geno Stone. The cornerback room doesn't worry me. I would like to see another slot corner. Maybe D'Angelo Pons out of IU. I know he doesn't play slot a ton, but he's got kind of that build of a slot corner in the NFL. A little bit undersized, but he can jump. He could stay with these guys. He's shown that like his size doesn't matter. Um, that D line though, the D line is going to be key in the trenches. Show me that you care about the D line or about the pass rush at linebacker. Even the front seven is what I've been punching the air about here because I like Jacob Rodriguez. I made a video about Jacob Rodriguez. I was hoping to make more draft prospect videos, but they're so time consuming and I don't have a lot of time. But Jacob Rodriguez is a turnover guy. He's a monster, very smart, high IQ player, but he also has a high missed tackle rate. And that is something that the Bengals, have struggled with the last few years. So do you want Jacob Rodriguez with the potential of a ton of turnovers, but also high missed tackle rate? And maybe in the NFL, he doesn't get as many turnovers. And then you just have a guy with a high missed tackle rate. That's a risk that there are teams in the league that I think can be willing to make, but I don't know that the Bengals are one of those teams or should be one of those teams. And again, if you had a clear-cut starting linebacker, you could take that risk and you could say like, okay, hey, we're going to teach Jacob how to, not only create these turnovers, but also tackle in the NFL. And we'll have time. We don't have to throw him out there, but that's not where they're at right now. So that front seven is just absolutely killing us. And it's amazing that they are refusing to add to it beyond Boye Mafe. Who you like in the first round? For where we're at right now, based on what I've seen from free agency, I know Caleb Downs is a guy people really like, but the fact that we signed Brian Cook leads me to believe that they don't think Caleb Downs is going to fall, or they're one of the teams that's out on Caleb Downs. I do like Delane if he falls. I probably where we are at right now, I think we're going to be forced to take a linebacker, and that hopefully means Sonny Styles. Hopefully Sonny Styles falls to us. I've seen Arvil Reese. I don't think Arvil Reese falls to the Cincinnati Bengals. I think Sonny Styles has the potential to fall. I don't think Reuben Bang Jr. will fall either, and I don't think that the Bengals think he'll fall because of that Boye Mafe signing. So I'm going to say Sonny Styles right now. That's kind of where it seems like they're leaning. He's a fantastic prospect, but I just don't want to be depending on rookies constantly each year. Now, there are exceptions to that rule, of course, as we've talked about, like at the quarterback position. But even, the Raiders, who have the first overall pick, are guaranteed to get their quarterback that they want, aren't depending on Fernando, or at least rumored, aren't depending on Fernando to start week one. They're planning on bringing in Kirk Cousins, supposedly, to give Fernando time to adjust to the NFL. The Bengals should be bringing in a vet to give Sonny Styles or whoever time to adjust to the NFL. And Sonny Styles can come out, week 4 and have a huge breakout game, and everyone will love him. That would be my plan. But it does not appear to be what the Bengals' plan is. Like, could you imagine if Devin Lloyd and Sonny Styles were both on the Bengals? That pass rush would be crazy from the box. Those are my thoughts. Money Mike 718, what are your thoughts on who the Bengals should get in the first round? Who do you like in the first round? Actually, all you guys, let me hear it. Who do you guys like for your teams in the first round based on what you've done in free agency so far? Sound off. Let's hear some rookie names. Isn't Lee Hunter projected to be a second round guy? I guess early second round guy, so I guess he could go up. But I think Lee Hunter could be there in the second round. I don't know if he'll be there when the Chargers get there. Avian Terrell or Caleb Banks, yeah, two very good players, two very highly acclaimed players as well. Caleb Banks, I know, is someone that Bengals fans had been looking at. I'm not against him. It's kind of between him and Peter Woods, a defensive tackle, it seems. Has good raw talent, youngish guy. I think he could be a very good big boy. I think he could end up being very good in the NFL, but he may need a little bit of time to develop. Avian Terrell, the Bengals like Clemson players. They do like Clemson players, so I wouldn't be completely shocked if they ended up reaching for him where they're at 10. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but he would be a reach at 10, I think. Okay, so someone asked James Rapine, who's Cincinnati Bengals Talk YouTube channel, great reporter, great insight, does a lot with the Bengals, fantastic, seems like a great guy. I've only interacted with him online. Someone asked him, will they sign someone today? And he said, I think so, yes. So hopefully we're not done. Hopefully they've been on the phone with guys and we're going to have a landslide here of Bengals signings. Hopefully they do not roll into the draft with gigantic holes. Specifically, James Rapine thinks they're going to sign players who were released at 4. There's still some names available. I would really be. I don't want. Now that you've said that, Chris, with the Avion Terrell thing, I can see them doing that. I think that's going to be their freak out guy. I think if like Sonny Styles and Bain and maybe even Peter Woods, who's another Clemson guy, if Reuben Bain, Sonny Styles, or any other guys they have their eyes on are gone, they may freak out and draft Avion Terrell because he's a Clemson guy, someone they're familiar, a college they're familiar with. Peter Woods could fall into that category too, though. Peter Woods, I don't think, would be as much of a reach as Terrell is. Yeah, your Jalen Carter trade is making more sense. Yeah, so KP, I went into PFF's mock draft simulator, and the mock draft simulator, which, I mean, take that for what you will. I think PFF does have a pretty good mock draft simulator, but it will let you trade the number 10 overall pick for Jalen Carter in the 23rd overall pick. So they could just trade back in the first round and get Jalen Carter and then get someone else, according to PFF. So if that's the trade, I'm fine with that because then you still get a first rounder and you get Jalen Carter. So it's kind of a steal. I don't know that Howie Roseman would agree to that. I don't think anyone said they shouldn't franchise tag Trey. I think they probably, at least what I heard or what I was trying to communicate, was that they should franchise tag Trey and then trade him. They shouldn't franchise tag Trey and then play him on the franchise tag because he's already been his franchise tag was going to be insane. But you got to franchise tag and then trade him. And it kind of seemed like the Bengals didn't think they were going to be able to get a trade done in the short amount of time between the franchise tag and him signing it. But I don't know. It doesn't matter now. Unfortunately, he's a Raven. But all we can do is look forward and trust in James Rapine that the Bengals are still going to do something. So Leo Chanel deal, that's true. Tag and trade would have kept it out of Baltimore. Hopefully he doesn't feast on OBJ. Hopefully last year was just a down year for OBJ. Get his replacement in there soon. Maybe through the draft. There's some day 3 guys in this draft that play left tackle that you could bring in as a potential replacement for Orlando Brown Jr. if you give them time to develop behind Orlando Brown Jr. Bell, I think in Miami, out of Miami, Markel Brown Bell, I want to say, is a name that I could see possibly coming to the Bengals on day 3. I wouldn't go day 2 on him, but day 3, very good size, type of offensive lineman that the Bengals do like. You're about to crash out. Leo Chanel got half of his contract guaranteed. So, once again, the Bengals kind of refusing to guarantee big money in contracts. When it doesn't hit, or it's a win because, you don't have to pay that guy. But it also, keeps us out of signing guys like Leo Chanel. Probably Devin Lloyd, I'd assume, has pretty good guarantees. Trey Hendrickson, we talked about his guarantees. Mims is much more athletic. Mims' athletic upside is huge. I don't know that he could switch. I wouldn't be against trying it maybe in the preseason. I'm not an offensive line type guy mentally. I do know from the people that I've talked to that are, though, they're very different positions, just schematically in a lot of ways from what they're asked to do. But I would be open to trying it because Mims is a fantastic right tackle. And if he can adjust and make that left tackle switch, then cool. But you'd have to try. You wouldn't want to do that against Trey, right? Like, you don't want Maurice Mims' first game at left tackle to be against Trey Hendrickson. And that would be the type of thing that they would do, unfortunately. Or at least that the front office would suggest. I don't know that Zach would try it. I don't know that Scott. Actually, I know that Scott Peters wouldn't do that. I really like Scott Peters. I don't understand how the Bengals were so close and so in on Devin Lloyd. Like, they were one of the final 2 teams. And then I would think the thought process is, okay, we didn't get Devin Lloyd. Call Leo Chanel. Call Caden Ellis. What do they want? Call Chase Young. Call whoever you want. What do they want? We're just going to get them. Because A, it's going to be cheaper. And B, don't miss out on the next guy. You missed out on... Missing out on Devin Lloyd, I think most fans would be like, okay, yeah, that was a long shot anyway. We knew that. But missing out on the next 5 guys, that's just incompetence in my mind. Same with defensive tackle. There really hasn't. I haven't even seen rumors that they've been going after any defensive tackles. Seriously, at least. I mean, they supposedly were all in on Devin Lloyd, very close to getting Devin Lloyd. That's fine. But they haven't even shown interest in defensive tackles. Like I told Chris here, at least the Vikings are releasing people and restructuring people. So they know that the Vikings front office is at least awake. I haven't seen the Bengals do anything. So they haven't shown us any indication that they're awake. It's almost like they signed Boye Mafe, turned off their phones, and went home. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, if what we were seeing was like ridiculous contracts coming out and they're just being like all these huge overpays happening, that'd be one thing. But like I'm not even that mad that we missed out on Devin Lloyd, but Devin Lloyd got paid less than what I thought he was going to get paid. Devin Lloyd got like $3 million a year less than I was expecting that contract to be. If they would have come out and been like, hey, he's getting paid $20 million a year, I would have been like, oh, okay. That's pretty steep. Let's not do that. But still, Leo Chanel, I don't understand how they've been so silent. Yeah, they refuse to restructure. I don't get why. They refuse to use cap space just in general. The cap is like the Bengals. I'm going to crash out on this stream. It's going to happen. Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, and T. Higgins are not the reason that the Bengals have a bad defense. The Cincinnati Bengals are the reason that the Bengals have a bad defense. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, first of all, their contracts can be restructured. Second of all, they're nowhere near going over the cap. It's not like they're the Vikings or the Lions where they're over the cap because they signed all these great players. They're nowhere near that. They have a ton of space to work with. They just aren't using it. It's very frustrating. And even if they were near the cap, they could restructure Joe's contract like the Ravens did, or the Chiefs did, or the Lions did today when they randomly restructured Jared Goff's contract to clear up $32 million of cap space and then seemingly did nothing. But we don't do that. I don't get why we don't do that. The Vikings restructured Aaron Jones. Yeah, I don't understand why we are the way we are. Is the way that I go viral by crashing out on YouTube Live? Is that how this happens? Bengals fan crashes out over front office incompetence. And then I'm just never allowed in the building. I'm never allowed in the media room. Dude, I feel like I'm up on a soapbox. I feel like a Southern Baptist preacher here underneath a tree, and I'm up on my soapbox, and whew, fire and brimstone. And that's got to be frustrating too. But at least you're doing something, right? Like I get being frustrated that you're doing the restructures and then you've got the money, but you're not using the money. But we have the money and then we just do nothing. We just do nothing with it. Like, wait until you do your interviews tomorrow. Okay, I'll tell you guys the interviews are with two cheerleaders from the Bengals. So they're going to come in and they're going to talk about cheerleading in the NFL, what kind of that process looks like. I think it's interesting because we don't hear from the cheerleaders a lot. I'm going to ask them about how do you keep the crowd hype in a year as disappointing as what the Cincinnati Bengals have had. So I'm not going to be interviewing like Duke Tobin or something, but I am really excited for these two girls to come on, and they've been super nice to give us their time. And so those will be posted tomorrow. I think we're doing the recorded interview at 6. I'll probably have that up by 7. But I think they're going to offer a very interesting perspective to the game that not a lot of fans necessarily think about. And I've learned a lot just by talking to them before the interview. So be on the lookout for that. With the two Cincinnati Bengals cheerleaders. And maybe I will ask them about crashing out. How do you avoid crashing? How do you stay happy as a Bengals fan? Maybe that's the advice that I'll be asking. But yeah, I've learned a ton from these two, just emailing back and forth. They seem like they love cheerleading as well, and they just love everything surrounding it and are super open to talking about it. So we will be doing that tomorrow. and hopefully that'll be up by 7. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, so you don't subscribe, turn on notifications so you don't miss that. Yeah, I'm excited. I think that's a little bit of different NFL content that we don't usually see, and so it'll be cool. Okay, that sounds legit interesting. Yeah, I think so too. I think it'll be really fun. I've enjoyed talking to them so far the last 2 weeks while we try to schedule this. Am I not pretty enough for you, Chris? Is it because my hair's been covered up, my luscious locks? Uh, oh, Chris. Hey, Chris, you want to join the club? The Packers are adding up front, agreeing to terms with defensive tackle Javon Hargrave to a 2-year, $23 million deal. So Javon Hargrave is heading to the Green Bay Packers. Switching sides. So we've seen Trey Hendrickson go to the Ravens. We've seen Bradley Chubb go to the Bills. And we've got another defensive lineman heading to a division rival, switching from the Vikings to the Packers. B. Wilkes, how much cap space? I don't actually know because the Boye Mafe and Brian Cook signings aren't on yet, and I haven't done the math to check that, mainly because the details aren't fully out there. I know it's a lot, though. I know they should be able to, are expected to at least be able to sign like 5 or so more people. But I don't know the exact number. Geez, that's a lot of money for Hargrave. He can't stop the run at all. Yeah, I don't know. I know that I wasn't super high on him. Is that so? We got 20 left, included that includes Boye Mafe and all that. Hang on, my father is texting me. So we got 20 million left, including Boye Mafe and Brian Cook. Is that right? That's got to be including them. I guess we'll make a post. Eric DaCosta is now live on NFL Network, the GM for the Baltimore Ravens. Let's see what his excuse is now for backing out of the deal with Maxx Crosby. He's probably just going to come on there and be like, we got Trey Hendrickson. I assume there's national media there too. It's not just going to be Baltimore reporters trying to be nice. Chris, we announced that on here. We talked about that. We talked about it. They're going to release him. Shame. I do. Good for supporting One Bar, though. Glad you're supporting One Bar. You're telling me. Try being friend. One of my best friends is a Steelers fan. Actually, it's Chuss. You guys, I don't know why I said that. You guys know Chuss. Working on getting this post up. Hoping we can get some quotes out of Eric DaCosta here on Twitter. We can react to those. Ian Rappaport. Apparently, the tone is not great. Basically, it sounds like he knows that he messed up, is what people are saying. Yeah, Chris, you must not have heard me. It's a shame. You were plugging your ears or something then. No, that's okay. Yeah, I basically said like, hey, Harrison Smith is going to be released. He hasn't made a decision about retiring. He hasn't made a decision about whether he's going to come back with the Vikings or not. So yeah, we discussed it a little bit, and I talked about how much I like Harrison Smith too. So you might have missed all of that. Former Titans center Corey Levin is signing a 1-year deal with the Falcons. That'll reunite him with Bill Callahan, the offensive line coach who was with the Browns, and then the Titans, the father of Brian Callahan, the former Titans head coach and former Bengals offensive coordinator. Dude, you're telling me like you're preaching to the choir here. Jesse Bates is a guy I liked before he was even a Bengal because he was from Fort Wayne, the area that I'm from, and I just I saw people on Reddit because I use Reddit for news sometimes as well, and people were saying like Jesse Bates clearly needed to go because the Falcons haven't won anything since he's been there. That's not how you determine whether a player is good. The Falcons haven't been good, but Jesse Bates has been fantastic while he's been with the Falcons. Um, so yeah, and Jesse Bates is also like the thing about losing Jesse Bates was they did such a poor job of replacing him. They drafted Dax Hill to replace him, who was an outside CB, and then tried to force him in at safety. And then that didn't work, so they brought in like Geno Stone next after that. But like you should have just done a true safety, replace him with a true safety, either through free agency or the draft. It should have been a simple fix. It shouldn't have taken 3 years. And really, his replacement has been Brian Cook, or is hopefully going to be Brian Cook. Yeah, the way we try to like cheap out and do stuff is really weird, and it ends up costing us more in the long run. Yeah, I get it. I completely understand. I I don't, because if they had just drafted a true safety or signed a veteran safety, that is actually like to the same caliber, you wouldn't have had to waste the draft potential, or you wouldn't have had to waste the Geno Stone contract. So you probably would have ended up saving money in the long run. But I don't know that they understand that. They look so short term when it comes to looking at their docket and making money that they don't realize that they're ending up losing money in the long term. The Chiefs got a ton of picks for those guys, but they also are going to have to rebuild their secondary now. And I guess, they're good at drafting, so they probably can do it. But those are two big names to lose. Snead last year, and then McDuffie this year to the Rams. But McDuffie is now the highest paid DB in the NFL, I believe. So I completely understand. Both our teams are bargain bin shoppers. Yep. And both of them have really good quarterbacks, too. So it's really weird. Okay. So Eric DaCosta is just not apologizing at all. At least from this quote that Ian Rappaport just put up. So Ian Rappaport just tweeted, interesting to note, Ravens GM Eric DaCosta said the team was attempting to sign Maxx Crosby and Trey Hendrickson. And this is a quote from Eric DaCosta. I understand how people would feel that way about conspiracies, but I have a responsibility to the Ravens. Okay, I'm going to read that again. I understand how people would feel that way about conspiracies, but I have a responsibility to the Ravens. Does that not sound like he's just admitting like that they did it? right? Like, am I understanding that? Like, I understand why people would feel that way because that's exactly what happened. Is that am I reading into that? Am I looking at that with a bias here, or is that I don't think I don't think I'm too crazy here. What I just can't believe they did. They sincerely think they were going to get Maxx Crosby and Trey Hendrickson on the books. Yeah, that would have been a dangerous tandem. That would um yeah, that's okay. That's what I'm thinking, right, B Wilkes. Pretty much said I know I did it. You know I did it. Let's move on. Like that what's the point of this press conference then? Like I expected him to kind of be a little bit more apologetic and make some vague attempt that uh like saying, hey, like like this is what happened, this is the physical, like offer some sort of pathetic excuse up. Um but that didn't happen at all. What a clown. That could have been phrased better too. Like yeah, I don't know. That's funny. I guess I shouldn't say what a clown. I respect the honesty a little bit. Ravens GM Eric DeCosta said after losing Tyler Linderbaum, they started talking to Trey Hendrickson with the idea that they'd pair him and Maxx Crosby. I still don't get why that means that they. So if they believed this entire time that they could afford Trey and Max, why did they shut down the Maxx Crosby trade? Because that came from their end. That didn't come from the Raiders' end. He's talking about it like he thought that the Raiders shut it down, at least from these quotes. I'm not watching it, just to be clear. I'm going off the quotes that are being shared online. But I'm confused now. I'm confused. I don't know if I'm confusing myself. Ravens GM Eric DeCosta said after losing Tyler Linderbaum, okay, so Tyler Linderbaum's contract is off the books. I understand that. They started talking to Trey Hendrickson with the idea they'd pair him and Maxx Crosby. So they got Trey Hendrickson. Was it because Trey Hendrickson was wanting more than what they were able to initially offer with Max? Is that what he's trying to say? I mean, I'm glad they're not both on the same defense. I'm not trying to say they should be, but okay. Adam Schefter's tweet adds a little bit more context. Um, After losing starting center Tyler Linderbaum to the Raiders, they were interested in pairing together Trey Hendrickson and Maxx Crosby, but Crosby's medical exam put an end to that discussion. So, what in his medical exam? What came up that where they were so worried about? And keep in mind, like Maxx Crosby isn't a guy who he wanted to play through this injury. He wanted to play through the end of the year on this injury. He got mad at the Raiders initially because they benched him because he was injured for the final 2 games of the year. So it wasn't like they were expecting him to, sit out because of this injury if he could play. Someone says it's ridiculous that they have to clear their names because some fans are envious of a successful franchise. Raiders are also incredibly unprofessional for encouraging it because they're mad about not getting premium picks for an injured player. Everyone knew he was injured. That's the thing. And someone said that on Twitter, not here, but they already knew that he was injured when they made the trade. If the situation was, hey, the Raiders traded Maxx Crosby to the Ravens and then they found out there was a meniscus injury, that'd be a completely different conversation. But everyone here right now in this chat knew that Maxx Crosby was injured when this trade went down. No one is shocked by that. That is not new information. I don't know. This feels like a cheap out to me, which I guess was kind of what we were expecting. Yeah, I don't like this excuse. It seems like he was basically just all he was trying to say was that they were talking to Trey Hendrickson before they declined the Maxx Crosby trade. That they didn't suddenly start talking to Trey Hendrickson. And that their plan all along was to sign Trey Hendrickson. Allegedly. Eagles are allegedly working on a trade for Vikings Jonathan Grenard. Yeah, like I said earlier, if it was like something new came up or he got re-injured or something new that you could confidently come into the press conference and say, "Hey, he has a dislocated shoulder." Not really a big injury, but let's just say he had a dislocated shoulder that we didn't know about and we didn't feel comfortable with that, so that's why we didn't do it. Boom. I'd be like, "Okay, makes sense." But for them to be like, we just didn't like it. I didn't like the way it looked. It looked bad. It looked icky. That's stupid. That's stupid to me. I don't know. The Ravens are not having a good day on No Buts About It. If someone in your free fantasy football league did what the Ravens just did, they'd be kicked out of the league. True. What do you think the Eagles offered, Josh? I don't know. The thing with Howie Roseman is a hard guy to get a gauge on because as soon as you say like, "Oh yeah, he won't do that," he does it. Um, what do you think the Vikings would accept for Grenard? I hate Howie like I have a ton of respect for Howie Roseman and what he's done, but yeah, I get the hate for Howie. I hate that Howie Roseman isn't my GM. That's what I hate. I don't hate Howie Roseman. I hate that he's not my GM. Remember, it was the Ravens' Eric DeCosta who sold the Eagles on Jair Alexander being okay to acquire. Alexander retired shortly after being dealt. I don't buy for a second they're selling on what they're selling on Crosby, especially now that they landed Hendrickson just hours later. Ooh, that's a good point. Jair Alexander, I think he also had some injury. Well, he had injury issues his entire career, but Eric DeCosta said he was gutted after the trade of Maxx Crosby did not go through. I just wish that he'd been straightforward and said why though. Like, I just don't feel like that was an honest answer. But or at least tell us why. But maybe that could be a HIPAA violation too. I don't know what the policy is on that. I guess the Eagles offer like a third and a sixth, or the Eagles give us Jalen Carter for Jonathan Grenard in our second. That'd be crazy. That would be a crazy trade if that happened while we're alive. The second part of that, the Jalen Carter for Jonathan Grenard in our second. I am really glad that Maxx Crosby and Trey Hendrickson aren't paired together. If that is truly the worst case scenario for Bengals fans, I'm really glad Maxx Crosby and Trey Hendrickson are not on the same team, because that would have been a nightmare. So thank you, NFL gods, for preventing that. The script writers said no. Oh, we've been live for 2.5 hours, and there's still not been a single signing by the Cincinnati Bengals. It has been over 24 hours since the Cincinnati Bengals have done anything in free agency. Okay. That's the first time you said that. Okay. If the Ravens had Maxx Crosby, that's that's probably true. Um, if the Ravens had Maxx Crosby and Hendrickson, the Bengals would have needed to trade Joe Burrow to the Vikings for his safety. And that's not even because I don't believe in the O line. That's just because, yeah, that would have been scary. I wouldn't have trusted the top O line in the league against that. That would have been a very scary D line. With Roquan Smith, oh my gosh. Whew. That Ravens defense would have rivaled the 0-1 one. You got Kyle Hamilton in the secondary. You got Roquan Smith at linebacker, Max and Trey on either side. Um, oh, that would have been rough. I'm very glad that did not go through. They don't think they need to make too many upgrades on that side of the ball. Oh, there's a rumor that the Bengals liked what they saw at the end, and they don't think they need to make too many upgrades on the defensive side of the ball. I hope this isn't true. You can see that. You can be happy with people growing, especially young players, and still make moves on a weaker side of the ball. I would say that the Bengals need to make upgrades on offense too. Like, you should constantly be trying to upgrade, constantly trying to improve your team, constantly trying to add depth. It doesn't matter if you're happy or satisfied. Running back Chris Rodriguez has agreed to a 2-year deal with the Jaguars. Come on, we're waiting. We got 13 people here. This is what we peaked at for streams, and there's nothing happening. We had stuff happening all throughout the day. Oh, come on. Big stretch. Got to leave in like 20 minutes, so I'll have to re-listen tomorrow. I might have to leave in like 20 minutes too. So I appreciate you sticking with us, Chris. I tweeted at James Rapine. See if he can give Bengals fans any hope. You love the 2 p.m. start time because he started at work. Yeah, I kind of wondered if that would work for people because I knew a lot of people would be at work. I appreciate you hopping in while you're at work, though. It truly does mean a lot that you spend so much time here with us at the channel. Ravens got some good pieces, but I want one more. Apparently, you guys were going for Trey Hendrickson and Maxx Crosby at the same time. I don't know that I buy that. Do you buy? Do you? I mean, you've got a bias, obviously, and I've got a bias against you. But do you buy the GM Eric DeCosta's excuse that you were going for both? You were talking to Trey Hendrickson the whole time. and it just fell apart randomly. The medical exam what's weird to me is he was already injured. Like we all knew that he was already injured. But Colin, what do you think about this whole situation? I'm really glad that you don't have both Maxx Crosby and Trey Hendrickson. I think Maxx Crosby is probably a better, well-rounded defensive end too. I think he's a better run defender than Trey is. Trey may be a slightly better pass rusher, but Max is also younger. So good, scared of him either way, right? I'm scared of Trey on the Ravens, scared of Max on the Ravens, but I'm sure he is. I know Jamar was not happy that the Ravens got Max. I low key want Njoku or Jennings, but I like the Trey Hendrickson because we saved $70 million in cap space and kept our picks. Well, theoretically, you were going to pay both of them, so somehow, so you're going to give up 2 first-round picks, all that cap space, and have both of them. Njoku would be interesting. He'd be a nice Isaiah Likely replacement. I'm still kind of intrigued that you guys extended Mark Andrews and let Likely walk. Juwan Jennings could be an interesting wide receiver 3. He's been pretty good for San Francisco. One of our top free agents still available. Underdog just released a chart that has Kyler Murray already listed as a Viking. So with the asterisk that we all know Kyler Murray is going to the Vikings. Wide receiver 2, Bateman took a huge step down. Yeah, Bateman's kind of, at least from what I've seen, from what I've watched, he's been very up and down throughout his career. Because there have been games where it's like, oh, he could be like a 1B to Zay Flowers, and then he'll just tank, and then he'll come back up, and then he'll tank. He seems inconsistent, which you don't want in a wide receiver too. It seems like his highs are high and his lows are low. There's very little in between. And I'm not saying that just because he's a Raven. I'm saying that just from what analysis, I guess. Loki want the Vikings to sign DeAndre Hopkins as wide receiver 3. He played with Murray in Arizona, and he is a former great wide receiver. Yeah, then you can say stuff like, I like to say Bengals great Terrell Owens, Bengals great James Harrison, that type of thing. I want at least one more player for the Ravens. What position would you be going for? Your wide receiver, it sounds like. Is that what you're set on, or you just want across the board one more player? Is DeAndre Hopkins is still under contract with the Ravens, right? Am I misremembering? Oh, he signed a 1-year deal, so he is a free agent. Okay, I thought he signed a 2-year deal, but wide receiver, a pass catching tight end. We can fix our O line in the draft. Yeah, this is a good draft for O line. Center may be a little bit difficult, but I mean, Tyler Linderbaum's a hard guy to replace. Me and Josh just want literally anything at all. Like sign a punter. Give me an indication you're awake. Chris Rodriguez got 2-year, $10 million with a max value of $12 million. It's kind of interesting. Now Etienne's gone. Maybe sign a center if there's an opportunity. Yeah, I'm trying to think what centers are there any on the top 100 chart left? I don't think so because Cade Mays went to the Lions. Trying to remember 100 players that are all changing teams at the same time is not as easy of a task that it sounds. Yeah, there's no centers left on the top 100 chart. Still some guards left, B, but no centers. And Njoku is still available, I believe. He has not signed anywhere. He's someone who I've been keeping an eye on, mainly because I usually end up with him in fantasy. I'm kind of a little. I get Fannin was really good, and that Njoku's a little bit older, but I was kind of surprised that the Browns didn't try to bring him back. I'm double checking here. Njoku, but I'm pretty sure he's still available. Yeah, David Njoku, 29 years old. He's 89 on the CBS Sports Top 100 chart. He's still available. Very good veteran pass catcher. My sister actually met him. Fun fact. She met David Njoku last summer. Yeah, that would be. I still like, and we said this. Me and Stan, the Jet fan, were live on the channel when I got like a crick in my neck. When they announced the Mark Andrews trade, we were talking. We're doing a full episode, and we were both confused. Because not that Mark Andrews hasn't been a great player for the Ravens, but I think that Isaiah Likely has been more dependable, and there have just been so many situations lately where it seems like Mark Andrews has literally dropped the ball in big play moments. So I guess I saw a joke when the Giants signed Isaiah Likely that, John Harbaugh helped the Ravens keep Mark Andrews and lose Isaiah Likely, and then he went and signed Isaiah Likely. So a little bit of a joke in realism. The Giants have just re-signed guard/tackle Evan Neal, another guy who's ton of potential, kind of in that same Elijah Vera Tucker category where he has a really good run when he's healthy, but he's been struggling with injuries. Likely is someone who I was glad to see him leave the division. A quiet guy, not a big name, not someone that, your casual fan may know, your casual non-Ravens fan may know, but he did a lot for the Ravens. Very respectable player, very annoying player against the Bengals defense. Surprised Njoku hasn't gone to Atlanta with Stefanski there. They have Kyle Pitts, though, under the franchise tag. So maybe he's looking for a spot where he can be the clear tight end one. Because he wasn't that in Cleveland last year, because my boy Harold Fannin Jr. came out of the gate swinging. Jake Lisco's joining the crash out on Twitter. We've got another Bengals content creator who's joining the crash out. Yeah, I know. I would think, though, that they would expect or are going to try to extend him since they haven't traded him at this point. But I don't know. I don't know what Njoku's thinking. I don't know what the Falcons are thinking. So that's a hard decision. That's why didn't you guys extend him to a 3-year deal? That was the other thing. Like, we were like, it was a lot of money for a long term. Like, we were like, if this was a 1 year for this price, maybe. But the fact that he's older, he's slowing down, and you've locked yourselves in for that long. I don't remember the details off the top of my head, but the fact that it was such a long contract, that was the other weird part of that whole thing. then we're going all in on this Evan Neal signing. Apparently, a lot of Bengals fans are mad Javon Hargrave did not go to the Bengals. And now we've got people coping with the linebackers, thinking, hey, they were rookies. They were playing with bad safeties and bad D-line. Now they're playing with good safeties and a slightly upgraded D-line. The line. I keep saying this because I don't want you to misinterpret my words, but I want Barrett Carter and Demetrius Knight Jr. to succeed. I was really high on Demetrius Knight Jr. when we drafted him, but I said he needs to come out fast and hard because he's older. That's not what happened. And Barrett Carter, I'd be okay with starting Demetrius Knight Jr., not Barrett Carter. Bring in a vet, let him educate them, let them develop, and then maybe they can start. But I don't know. There's so much pride in the Bengals organization that it sets them back. Like, pride is the deadliest sin. It damns people to hell, and it damns people to lack of Super Bowls. Put that on a t-shirt. Yeah, runs a 6'4" while running to the end zone. He's older. He doesn't. I get it. I get he's like probably one of the better tight ends in Ravens history. But yeah, he just hasn't been that's the main thing. Like the red zone stuff he's been slower. He's been dropping the ball in big moments too. So yeah. I can take a slow tight end if he can catch the ball. If he can find ways to get open despite being slow and he can catch the ball, that's one thing. Just one before we die. Fun fact, my great uncle was a Saints fan, and he died the year that the Saints beat the Colts in the Super Bowl. And he was getting pretty old, and so when Drew Brees and the boys went to the Super Bowl, we were rooting for the Saints, which was not a popular move in Indiana at the time to root. That was an interesting Super Bowl because you had Purdue fans rooting for Drew Brees, and then you also had Colts fans obviously rooting for the Colts and Peyton Manning. And we kind of were more on the Saints side. Mark being able to catch the ball is a huge if. Yeah, it is a huge if. Big if. And I think Isaiah Likely's better at this point. But hey, I can't sit here and knock the Ravens too much as I would love to, because they got Trey. And we don't have Trey. We don't have anyone. We have the potential upside of Boye Mafe. That is quite literally what I've been hanging my hat on. Who's the Irv Smith of this year's LB linebacker group? Yards after catch matter most in evaluation of tight ends. Lots of guys can catch. That's true. I think that's a fair assessment. But I was talking about specifically in the red zone. So obviously in the red zone, your yards after catch are going to be limited anyway. And it just seems like he isn't even able to catch in the red zone. So yeah, but no, I do think that's a fair assessment, and that's why I really liked Harold Fannin Jr. actually, who the Browns signed. That's why I liked him last year pre-draft. Was he was basically a giant wide receiver, and his yards after catch were insane. That is former first round pick Cole Strange to you, B. Wilkes. Patriots have agreed to terms with tight end Julian Hill and safety Mike Brown. Those seem like depth pieces. I hope Bengals take Ohio State tight end. I don't even know who is that? Give me a name. Joe Burrow was a good man. Is that his obituary? Are the Ravens fans writing off his obituary now? I, you know what's annoying is the Bengals finally had a good O-line. Finally got it put together. Finally, brought back Dalton Risner, had Amarius Mims is cooking. Orlando Brown Jr. is falling off, but he's still pretty good. And you go and you do that. You can't just let us have one. Can't just let us have one. Max Flair. What kind of is he a pass catching tight end? Then I assume good yards after catch type guy. Is he a blocking? Can he block? That's really what the Bengals need, and I'm hoping Eric All Jr. is able to stay healthy and be that because, obviously it sounds like you're a Bengals fan. Like if Drew Sample's out there, it's a run play. If Mike Gesicki's out there, it's a pass play. Our tight ends are giving away our plays. So, yeah, okay, a guy who does both. And if he can do both effectively, I'm all for that because that's what I really liked about Eric All. Tanner Hudson kind of tries to be that guy. I don't know that he's really there yet or will be there. But, yeah. Boye Mafe, Chris, and hopefully Shamar Stewart and Miles Murphy. But right now, Boye Mafe is what we got. He's our big signing. And I've got some charts. I'm going to make a video on him because he does have a lot of upside. There's a lot of comparisons we can do with Phillips and stuff. But I'm not saying that's enough. I'm not at all. But Boye Mafe is who's going to be rushing the passer. Will Joe Burrow be sacked by division opponents over under 17 times this season? Well, couple fun facts. I know that Maxx Crosby had never sacked Joe Burrow in a regular season game. It is also a fact that Trey Hendrickson has never sacked Joe Burrow in a regular season game. That is a statistically true statement. Now, what Myles Garrett and TJ Watt do, I do not know. But you cannot argue with me that Trey Hendrickson has never sacked Joe Burrow. Yeah, we talked about this a little bit earlier, Jeff, before you came in. I think right now and this is part of the problem with the Bengals, the way they do things, they're going into free agent or into the draft with huge holes. You have to take a linebacker. And I think that means you have to take Sonny Styles. If they don't go in with clear holes, you can take BPA. You don't have to reach. And not that Sonny Styles would be a reach, but something else, Chris actually brought up Avion Terrell. And, if you're a Bengals fan, I'm sure you're aware the Bengals love their Clemson guys. And there is a slight need for a corner. And we could potentially see the Bengals, reaching for Peter Woods, or who's a defensive tackle, or Avion Terrell out of Clemson because, they like their Clemson guys. They like to reach for their Clemson guys. You don't like my stat? You don't like my ESPN stat that I came up with? I think Bengals, no. I think you have to run the ball at him and play strong. You have to put a tight end on his strong side. Drew Sample's probably going to be seeing a lot of Trey Hendrickson, would be my guess. Andrew Luck 2.0, the sequel. And he's still made more Super Bowls than Lamar Jackson. See, Caleb Downs, I get why people are in on him. Great prospect. I don't know that he'll be there, first of all. Second of all, the fact that they signed Brian Cook leads me to think that they either don't think Caleb Downs will be there or they're not high enough on Caleb Downs to take him at 10. But, yeah. Hey, B Wilkes, thanks for sticking around so long with us. I'll see you later. Make sure you subscribe, notified so you don't miss anything that we post here. I'll keep updating stuff as we go. Hendrickson will sack Burrow at least 1.5 times this season. Okay. That's honestly, since they play twice, I would probably take that. I think Chiefs take him. I think that's fair. I think Caleb Downs could probably go to the Chiefs. Okay, now that you're bringing out the ESPN stats, Colin, Um, I appreciate it though. Um, yeah, I don't think anyone really knows where Caleb Downs is going to go. I've seen him go after the Bengals. I've seen him go way before the Bengals. Like no one really knows. This draft, we've talked about it a little bit yesterday. This draft is really weird because all the best players are non-premium positions after Fernando Mendoza. I mean, you've got the second overall pick could be a linebacker. You're not, we've been talking about possibly a safety, a running back, and multiple linebackers going in the top 10. And that's not something we usually see, but that's the way this draft is kind of falling. Jeremiah Love, now that the Chiefs have signed Kenneth Walker, may not go in that top 10 anymore, but he could. Yeah. Center. Matt Lee. I know fans are really high on Matt Lee. It doesn't seem like the Bengals are as high on Matt Lee as what fans have been. Taking a center, I could maybe late day 2, early day 3. Markel Bell, is that his name? Out of Miami, I believe. He could be an early day 3 replacement for Orlando Brown Jr. He's a really big player, has a ton of potential, tested well, it sounds like. Who should the Ravens take third round? I don't think you'd want to go tight end third round or first round. Who should the Ravens take first round? Bye, Chris. Who should the Ravens take first round? I don't think you'd want to go tight end first round. There's a lot of tight ends in this draft too. There's also a lot of wide receivers. So those are your two targets. I think there's higher upside to take a wide receiver early though. So whoever falls, I guess. I doubt Lemon falls, but whoever falls, maybe you take a wide receiver. Any of the wide receivers that I doubt you'd have to reach on any of them. Ooh, Jake Slaughter. Now that I'm thinking about names, I'm trying to remember names that I've looked at. Jake Slaughter out of Florida is a name that I like. I think he's projected to go third round. He could be a good center replacement for Ted Karras. I don't think third round is too early at all to draft a center, given Ted's age, especially if that's the best player available. Obviously, we don't want to be reaching. I think I promised you guys 6:00. If there are no more big signings before or after at 6:00, I'll probably wrap things up right there. But we can keep talking. Yeah, Chris Braswell. Okay. Skylar Bell is a guy that I've seen a lot talked about out of UConn. I really like Elijah Surratt from IU. I think he'd be a fun wide receiver 3, big body, who may be available at BPA. You probably have to get him in round 3 as well, though. I'm trying to think of other wide receivers. I haven't really been looking at wide receivers as much for obvious reasons. Amari Cooper Jr. Amari Cooper Jr. could be good for the Ravens. He might be there as well. Jadorian Price. Okay, yeah. Would you be open to Jeremiah Love in the first round? If you're open to taking a running back, would you be open, as a Notre Dame fan, would you be open to taking Jeremiah Love in the first round? Because he may fall out of that top 10 now if he's there. Only have a bit of Henry left. How much longer does signings go for? Do you know? They can go. I mean, technically, you can sign anyone who's not under contract for the whole year. I think a bunch of guys just officially got released today. So like Kyler Murray just officially got released. Javon Hargrave just officially got released, even though we knew days ago that they were going to be. So theoretically, the Bengals could be calling a bunch of those guys. The Bengals have in the past liked to work at night as well. That hasn't been the trend this year. obviously all the big announcements come the first few days, but the new league year has only happened. It only opened 2 hours ago, right? So all the stuff we've been talking about has been unofficial. That's why none of the teams could announce it until today, 2 hours at 4:00. So to answer your question, no. Yeah. So yeah, they should be signing people into next week. And Bosa is a guy who we talked about as well here today. And I said like Bosa would be great to have as a depth piece, but I wouldn't be signing Bosa expecting him to be your like regular edge starter. I would be signing Bosa expecting him to, maybe come in on third downs, clear passing situations, be a part of specific packages, be a mentor to both Shamar Stewart and Miles Murphy. Just kind of come in, be someone who you can trust to come in for a down or two while your starters rest. Because Joey Bosa isn't the Joey Bosa that we remember anymore. He's older now. He's had some injury issues. He's a little bit slower, but he's still good. He's still got depth. Ravens need a running back for the future because we aren't playing King. Are you in on Jeremiah Love, though, in the first round? That's what I want to know. Did I miss that? I know I didn't miss that. You didn't say it. Price is an amazing athlete, but we need line first round. We might take if he drops. Okay, yeah. I think if Love drops to you, that would be a scary backfield with him and Henry. Because Love is a much more athletic, kind of twitchier back than what Henry is, whereas Henry will just run you over with speed and anger and size. Yeah, so that was why the Seahawks line was so good, was because they had all these guys who you could trust to come in and create pressures, Boye Mafe being one of them. His sack stats don't look as good because he was part of that rotation. He has great pressure percentages, though. I just think you got to have guys you can trust. We can't be going completely off of pressure percentages. Love would take a lot of pressure off Burrow, though, be a luxury pick. But that's the type of pick you can make when you don't go into the draft with clear-cut holes. If they went into this draft with, Brian Cook, Leo Chanel, Logan Hall, all these kind of holes plugged up, and it looked like, you had your starting lineup to where they could go out today and play a football game and win. You could draft Jeremiah Love at 10. Would it be the, best like position pick? No, but it would be the BPA if he's the BPA. Love is great for the future because Henry is getting older, even if it doesn't feel like it. Yeah, no, it showed a little bit last year for sure. He was doing things he doesn't usually do with like fumbling, basically. That was the main thing. But yeah, if you go into the draft, and it would make the front office's job so much easier too, because if you have no holes, you can just draft good football players. And it's that simple. But they don't like to do that. And it hurts them. All right. It is. Okay. This is just the only announcement I have is that, and this isn't new, Cheeto Awuzie did re-sign with the Ravens. 1 year, $5 million. Actually, it says $5. I see what he's saying now. Okay. Let me restart this. So Jeff Zebrick. So if you missed this, Cheeto did re-sign with the Ravens. But Jeff Zebrick tweeted, the Ravens have agreed to a 1 year, $5 deal with veteran quarterback Cheeto Awuzie, sources say. Awuzie played well for the Ravens last year, and he's back. And Awuzie quote tweeted it and said, just enough for a hot and spicy McChicken. So he's got $5. Congrats. You guys got Cheeto Awuzie for $5. Few years ago, you could have bought a footlong with that, but not anymore. Dude, Chase Brown and Jeremiah Love would go crazy. That'd be wild, but we ain't going to be able to see that now. Yeah. But again, if you don't have holes, you don't have to worry about that. You can just draft your favorite football player. You can draft the best football player. And that's the simple math of it. But we're going to see a lot of players that don't win in other drafts go as high as they are, go high, because this draft is weird. There's not a lot of top quarterbacks in this draft either. Okay. I think telling me don't. Hopefully I wake up tonight to a bunch of signings that Duke Tobin's been working on all day, but I haven't even heard rumors, unfortunately. But I appreciate everyone for hanging around with us. Yes, you also signed Jalen Hawkins, but I think you paid him more than $5. Appreciate everyone hanging around here. It's been fun. Been 3 hours. We've been live streaming. 7 hours total over the last 3 days. And we've had great conversations, great timing. I appreciate everyone for stopping by. Make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss any of the news that we post. We're constantly posting stuff. I am posting stuff all the time, whether it be shorts, community tab posts, or videos. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of that. We got that interview with the Bengals cheerleaders coming tomorrow. That's going to be a really fun conversation, I think. I'm really excited for that. Thank you, Jeff, for the subscription. I appreciate it so much. Chuss and Stan the Jet fan appreciate it as well. But yeah, keep hanging out with us. And until next time, as always, pray for the Cincinnati Bengals and go do something nice for someone.